Alright, so I've opened up the Airaid Throttle Body Spacer. As you can see, that's the spacer itself. Here's the bolts. Let's see, gaskets in there. I've read through directions a couple of times. Honestly, they're not great. One big reason is the black and white makes it really hard to kind of pick out what's on there. But I've gotten the gist of it, and actually on Airaid's website, if you go there, they have color pictures, which actually help quite a bit more. Here's all the parts you need. 10mm ratchet. I don't know if you need an extension, but it does say deep socket. 5/32 Allen wrench. It says a 4mm and a 5/16 sockets. So we'll see. I don't know if it's one or the other or both. And then I have a flathead screwdriver just in case as well. First steps that it gives are to disconnect the negative battery terminal, which I'll go ahead and do. And then I'll pop off the cover. And then there's a bolt right down here. Not a bolt, but it's just connected to the radiator hose. And this whole thing needs to come off, so we're just going to pull that off. But those are the first steps, so I'm going to go ahead and do those. Alright, so I've disconnected the negative battery terminal. And looking online, it looks like this is just a grommet holding this on, so I haven't loosened this or anything. I'm just going to give it a tug. For all I know, it could break this. We'll see. It's pretty weathered and pretty dirty, but oh, yeah, you just have to give it a pull and it comes right off. Next step will be loosening this, but and then I think also at some point I'll need to pull that out. But first step, and then loosen this. So that's the whole goal. This is the throttle body right here. So the first steps are just removing everything that you need to kind of pull. Let me set this down. Kind of pull this whole unit that goes to the air filter off and away, and then next I'll be removing the actual throttle body. Alright, so far it's all been pretty straightforward. You just back that screw out a little bit, and then you disconnect it here, so you don't even have to take out your air box. You just, at the mass airflow sensor, you back that out, you pull this out. All that's holding that in is the washer or grommet right there. Now the trickiest part for me has been this little guy right here. Granted, I have 140,000 miles on this already, so it could just be a little stiff, so I'm working at that, trying to get that off. But just know that that might be a little tough to, it's supposed to just drop right off, but it might be a little tough to get that off the radiator hose. But other than that, so far so good. Alright, so I eventually got that off. It's stuck pretty well on there. I'm hoping I didn't do any damage to the radiator hose. Doesn't look like I did. As you can see, what I had to do was get a flathead screwdriver and kind of like get it in between and then kind of turn it, so I kind of kinked that, but it should pop on there just fine. That's the unit that comes off. I'm not sure exactly what this part's for. I've seen online that some people say just sound deadening, but I don't know. But that'll all go back on. But now we have the throttle body. We're going to remove these 4 bolts, well, nuts and then bolts down here, and those will be replaced with the ones from the kit. So I'll do that now. Alright, so I got all of those off. What's left is these studs here. That's what you use the 4mm for. So I'll back those out. It says just to set the throttle body itself off to the side, but not to disconnect the wire. So leave that connected. Mine's pretty brittle, so hopefully it doesn't damage it just resting over there. But yeah, now I'll remove these 2 studs with the 4mm. So that's the next step. Alright, so now it says I'm ready to actually install it. So it says to install 2 of the bolts first with 2 of the washers. Online, I've seen varying pictures of these throttle body spacers. Usually they say which way the flow is going. but this is TB side, so I assume that's the throttle body side. So that'll face out like that. This will go against the existing blue O-ring that's there. And then this side that goes against the throttle body will have the gasket on it. At least that's what the picture looks like. So throttle body, fiber gasket, Airaid spacer, and then the next would be that. So that's how I'm going to set it up. Alright, so I've added the other two down there. Now it says to tighten them in a cross pattern, kind of like you would lug nuts on a wheel. Now one of the annoying things is it says to vehicle specifications. I don't know what that is. I know they should probably be torqued down, but I'm just going to do them. They were pretty tight to get undone, so I'll just do them pretty tight without the risk of stripping threads or anything like that, or making it too tight or breaking that O-ring. But that is one thing I wish they had, is what the specifications are, but I'll just go ahead and do that. Alright, so this next step, number 6, threw me for a loop, but what I think you have to do is remove this right here. I'm guessing we're having to allow for the extra clearance here, so that's what this plate's for. So you'll remove this, you'll put this plate in with the Allen screw that they give you, and you'll face it forward on the car. And then what you need to do is that's where that grommet goes. So you'll remove that grommet and I think put it on that, and then connect everything up again, is what it looks like. So unless that's different, I'll go ahead and do that. Alright, so that's what that looks like, all installed with the grommet removed from the breather tube and put on there. It says you may need to adjust it a little bit when trying to get it all reconnected, but that's what it looks like. So you just face it forward and have the Allen screw in there. And then we'll put this, we'll reconnect here, we'll reconnect here and here, and then the battery terminal, and then we should be good to go. So you can see everything is tightened back up, and with the cover on you can hardly see, because you can see it from the side right there. There's the throttle body spacer. I'm going to try to show you the sound it makes. Some people call it a light turbo sound, some call it a light supercharger whine. I don't think it's either of those. It sounds like a low brake sensor to me. I don't love it, and the results are kind of, I'm not sure. It does feel peppier, but I also installed a Vortec Max Energy tuner at the same time, so I don't know, we'll see. I have a long road trip coming up later this summer, and I'm hoping to get some more definitive results then, but I'm going to go ahead and start it up for you and you can hear the sound it makes.